far gone is too far gone to be president? How far does it have to go until the right people become concerned enough to address what looks like a very questionable situation when it comes to the leader of the free world? How far does it have to go until they take it seriously that Joe Biden looks potentially unable to make decisions that affect millions and impact the entire planet as we know it? Are moments like this not enough to warrant real concern, for example?
I'm going to Florida Saturday morning.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Please come this way. Right this way. Mr. Secretary, right this way. Bill, please come this way.
Let's keep moving.
See, that makes me nervous. I'm not a doctor, so clearly I'm not in a place to make a professional assessment, but all I know is what I see. That is the President of the United States. That is the president looking lost, looking clueless. Where am I going now, he asks. That, to me, just that moment alone, is cause enough for concern, as it should be to each and every single American, regardless of political affiliation. Unless Joe Biden is holding no cards in his hands instructing him on exactly where he should go, what he should say, and to whom he should say it, Joe Biden seems to look more and more unable to hold the highest office in all the land. I don't know about you, but I'm seriously concerned about the state of the man sitting in the White House. Remember when President Biden was, quote, fine, according to the White House, after tripping over a sandbag at a U.S. Air Force graduation ceremony on June 1st? But when is it no longer fine? Biden, approaching his 81st birthday this November, is this country's oldest serving president, and he shares the distinction of old age with a growing number of politicians, including 81-year-old Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who froze up for the second time in just over a month.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? Yes. All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator.
A day later, on Thursday, a Capitol physician cleared Senator McConnell. But should he be clear? Should someone who votes on the most crucial bills and policies in this country be given the all clear after freezing up not once but twice for all of the American public to see? So is the issue about being old, or is it about something else entirely? The Constitution says that 35 is the minimum age to become president. The framers clearly felt that setting a minimum age was necessary to ensure that the nation's chief executive would be relatively mature and have some political or military experience to call on. Nowadays, thanks to modern medicine and healthier living, we can live longer. But the fact is, as we get older, virtually all of us slow mentally and physically. We've all seen and heard about exceptions, like my dad, who as a 76-year-old grandfather is still playing pickup basketball, or maybe a grandmother who might run marathons. And let me tell you, Donald Trump is a very young 77 years old, proving that there are different situations and that, yes, for some, age is just a number. But the document that governs our country and helps us decide who gets to hold the nuclear codes, the Constitution, can't plan for exceptions, but rather the rule. As we have witnessed, the process of presidential campaigns doesn't always give voting Americans a crystal clear notion of a candidate's true mental or physical health. If it did, I think we all know that the 2020 election would have turned out much differently. I certainly can't imagine that in just the several months of the presidential election, if Joe Biden fumbled around the stage and called out for dead congresswomen, that many Americans would have put their trust and faith in Joe Biden as president. The very point of a campaign for typical politicians is to be good at hiding whatever problems may exist. Joe Biden was hardly even featured in his own highly produced campaign ad released a few months ago. So voters will always see only the best in their preferred candidates, which, by the way, helps explain why anyone would ever vote for Joe Biden to begin with, or someone like Senator John Fetterman. I guess to Democrats, it doesn't matter what the abilities of their candidate truly are. Go blue or go home. But our government is steeped in the tradition of having politicians, particularly congressional politicians, staying as long as their constituents will have them, even when they're not being totally honest about their capacity to carry out the function of their roles. Strom Thurmond was barely able to recognize his surroundings, and yet he served the people of South Carolina until he died in office at age 100. 88-year-old Dianne Feinstein is facing the same realities of decline, but because she remains a symbolically powerful figure for the Democrats, they keep her right there. It's what the Democrats do. They trotted out a man in obvious mental decline, and they're doing it again, pushing him to run for president because he is their only chance to come even close to Donald Trump. They used him and prayed that we wouldn't see what has been so plain, sad, and embarrassing. So shouldn't we set ourselves apart from the Democrat approach? Meaning, shouldn't we seriously question whether Senator Mitch McConnell is truly capable of holding one of the highest political offices in the country? If we don't, then we appear to be no better than the Democrats. I think we owe it to this country to ask these questions and get the honest answers. Like, how old is too old to be president? How young is too young? In 1984, Ronald Reagan so cleverly flipped the script on Walter Mondale, addressing his concern about his advanced age, which was 73 at the time.
I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
What a great moment by one of our greatest presidents. But he hit on something that's important there too, and that is experience. Just to play devil's advocate here, history has also shown us that being relatively young as president is not necessarily a very good thing either. Right, Barack Obama? But we know and we've seen the ramifications of seeing a man so clearly in decline hold the most important and most powerful office on the planet. While the answer is more complicated than age, a simple number to many of us these days, part of the answer may be term limits, particularly for those in Congress. After all, term limits already exist for presidents. Funny enough, Joe Biden himself made the case about age when he ran for Senate in 1972, tearing into his opponent for being too old for his post at 63. Joe Biden is currently 80 years old. We can laugh about the irony, or we can make the valid point that at the very least, full and thorough mental acuity tests should be seriously considered. Being president of this country is unique because, unlike Congress and the Supreme Court, being president is never out of session. And our current president clearly needs his frequent trips to Delaware to get through the bare minimum of the job's requirements. Again, this isn't about picking on a man's apparent decline. It matters when we're talking about the president, the commander of our armed forces. Right now, we're rolling the dice by ignoring the obvious signs that the leader of the free world, the one who holds the nuclear codes, is so clearly not okay. And I am so not okay with it. Are you?